Good morning. Thank you all so much for joining Amtrak Vacations for today's first of three exciting live presentations. Folks, my name is Jim Marini. Will proudly be your host here today. And what are we talking about? Exactly what you see right there on your screen. Last minute train getaways. Folks, there is so much to see right here in our own backyard, and I'm so excited to have each and every one of you join us. By the way, I did want to mention there is a question box, as you can see right there on your screen. And I want you to feel free to type in any questions that you may have. Again, this is live. All right. And I am here for each and every one of you and your friends and your family. And we will save time to answer any of those questions for all of you at the end of today's exciting live webinar. Folks, you ready to get started? I know I am. So let's get started right here, right now. And the first slide that I really want to show all of you is the USA Rail Network map. Look at this, folks. All right. Did you realize all the fun places that you, your friends, and family can go to? Again, right here in our own backyard. So if you look at the map right here, all those colorful lines, folks, those are all the different Amtrak trains in the United States. And believe it or not, last year alone, over 33 million people traveled on board Amtrak, over 33 million people. So if Amtrak was an airline, believe it or not, it would be the sixth largest airline in the United States. Now, one of the points that I always love mentioning too is over 500 Amtrak train stations in the United States that you, friends, and family can start or end at. So I have some fun questions for all of you, okay? If you don't feel like flying, if you don't feel like driving, if you're looking for something different, if you maybe want to visit some family and friends who may live in other parts of the country and tie in a little vacation, or again, if you're looking for just a last minute getaway this summer or this fall before we move into 2025, well, Amtrak Vacations and or your local travel advisor has you covered. All right. So thank you all again for being here. And you can start or end right from your local Amtrak train station. So I want you to keep that in mind as I go through today's exciting presentation. In the beginning of today's presentation, folks, we're going to talk about Amtrak Vacations and in particular the train, all right, before I move into some of these exciting destinations that are available and trending right now to consider for you, your friends and family. First off, Amtrak Vacations, we're your one-stop shop for trains, hotels, sightseeing, transfers, and more. We pretty much get booked most of everything for each and every one of you, with the exception of flights. So if you do plan to fly or you want to fly one way or round trip, another reason it's always great to consider booking through your local travel advisor. Well, as I mentioned, on any of our trips, you can start and end at a station of your choice. As I mentioned, there's over 500 Amtrak train stations in the United States. So we can customize a trip for you. Did you know that? Any trip that we have, and we have packages all put together, you're going to see more about them in a little later in today's presentation and certainly learn about those exciting destinations that you and your friends and family can travel on. But did you know any trip can be personalized, can be customized? So if you want to add days, take out days, add an extra stop, visit family that may live in a particular area of the US in the middle of your trip, you can do that, or at the beginning or at the end. All right. You travel how you want, where you want, when you want. The journey is part of the experience. And you know, folks, when I look at this collage of pictures, I can't help but to think back to my own family's trip when we traveled a few years ago, traveling overnight on the train heading down to Florida. And part of the experience was literally sitting in that lounge car, having a great game of Uno with my wife and three children. We were going through the countryside of the Carolinas, and I want to say the internet, the wireless wasn't even available, but isn't that part of the whole experience, right? Traveling on board the train and really allowed us to spend time with each other, allowed us to meet other travelers along the way. Remember, unlike an airline where the clouds look the same anywhere and everywhere we fly, not when you travel on board the train. You get a chance to see so much of our own beautiful countryside, so much of our own beautiful states and cities along the journey, but you also get a chance to experience all the great amenities on board the train. And we're going to talk more about that right here, right now, okay? What to expect. When you travel on board the train, certainly any of the overnight long distance trains, comfortable seating, and I'm going to give you one of the biggest highlights right here, right now. You ready, everyone? There are no middle seats. So unlike an airline where any of us, including myself, could get stuck in a middle seat, guess what? Two extra large seats on one side, two extra large seats on the other. Freedom to move around. We want you to get up. We want you to walk around. We want you to go to the observation car. We want you to go to the lounge car like my family and I did. All right? Go to the cafe car, stretch your legs, so on and so forth. Scenic views all the way around. Certainly in the observation car, any of the long distance overnight trains in the observation car, that's the portion of the train, folks. We have the big, beautiful glass windows. Flexible baggage allowance. Did you know you're allowed to bring two free carry on bags and two free pieces of luggage up to 50 pounds, 50 pounds per luggage? All right. Last time I checked, most airlines, they'll charge you for your first bag unless you're part of a certain particular awards or category with that airline. All right. Unique sightseeing. Again, the clouds look the same anywhere we fly in the world, but when you travel by train, you're going to see some of those amazing areas throughout the United States that most people never have a chance to ever experience. And curated selection of hotels. We're going to talk more about that as I highlight some of our most popular packages for you, your friends, and family to consider. Now, I had to put this picture in, folks, just a comparison of plane versus train. So, again, if you look on the left-hand side, when you travel by plane, of course it's faster. It gets you from point A to point B much quicker than a train would. But again, isn't that part of the experience traveling by train? So, if you go by plane, all right, a little lack of leg room, as we know, limited views, again, mostly clouds. Here's another point. Many times you have to arrive a minimum of 2 to 3 hours before departure. Strict baggage limits, as I mentioned, unless you're part of an elite status with that airline. All right. Long security lines. Again, unless you're part of the TSA pre-check or what's the other one? Another there's another line that can get you through quicker. It could take a while. Additional transport needed to get to the final destination. And I'll give you an example of that. If any of you were to fly into JFK, fly into LaGuardia, or fly into Newark, well, guess what? You're dealing with traffic getting from the airport right into downtown New York City. Do you know the new Moynihan train hall, which is the newer version of Penn Station, literally drops you off right in the heart of New York City? And by the way, that's similar with most trains in the major cities. It brings you, your friends and family into the heart of the city. Now, did I mention I've been here 11 years, folks? So I'm excited to share all these points and tips and feedback with all of you because I have traveled multiple times over the years, not only on my own, but with my family and friends as well. So when you travel by train, plenty of room to stretch, scenic views, as I mentioned. Did you know you can arrive as close into departure as only 30 minutes? Now, I always personally recommend 45 minutes to an hour, but you have that flexibility to arrive as close in as 30 minutes before departure. As I mentioned, no baggage restrictions. Again, two pieces of luggage, two carry-on bags per person. Hassle-free check-in. Arrive in the city center. Let's talk about sleeping accommodations on board the train. Now, any of you that are looking to travel in particular, not only on any last minute train getaways, but any trips that involve overnighting on board the train, folks, consider upgrading to a private sleeper. Now, the most popular category is what you see right there in the blue box, okay? First class roomette. Roomettes are our most popular and our most affordable sleeping category of any sleepers on board the train. So keep that in mind. And typically roomettes fit two people. It is bunk bed style, just like most trains are in the world, all right? But you do have what we call private yet shared shower toilet access, which means right down the hall, any of the bathrooms and showers are only available for folks that are in private sleepers. So if you are in a roomette or a bedroom, you have access to those private yet shared toilets and bathrooms right down the hall, just like we'd have at our own homes. Now, you know yourselves the best. If you want your own private toilet, your own private shower, your own private vanity, and maybe you want a room a little bit larger in size, then consider upgrading one more level, and that is a bedroom. All right. Bedrooms are also available. And on some of the trains, not all of them, but some of the trains, if you're traveling, as an example, with your children or grandchildren, and you may want to request to have two bedrooms side by side, all right, some of the trains do have that availability, and you can even open up the door in the middle so then your family and friends can go back and forth between the two rooms. So again, it's not available on all the trains, but some of them it is. But I'm going to give you one of the biggest highlights right here, right now. Whenever you upgrade to a private sleeper, whether it's a roomette, a bedroom, a handicap accessible room, all your meals are included from the time you depart until the time you arrive while you are booked in that roomette, bedroom, or handicap accessible room. All right. So keep that in mind. And meals can be ordered right off the menu. Your room attendant can take the order from you, and then meals can be delivered to your room. Or what I recommend is to go eat and dine inside the dining room. All right. The dining car. You'll have a chance to meet other passengers on board. And again, that's part of the whole experience. And if anybody has any special dietary requests, just let us or your local travel advisor know, and we'll make those arrangements for you. Now, when you book travel in a sleeping car, you're entitled to a range of amenities and extras. So, again, not only does it include complimentary meals, as I mentioned, that's a huge highlight, you also have lounge access, certainly at any of the major train stations. So, if you're in Chicago, New York City, as an example, they have lounge access for any folks that are booked in sleepers. Again, regardless if it's a roomette, a bedroom, or in a handicap accessible room, and you have a first class attendant who's there to help with turn down service, help answer any questions that you may have as well. And here's an example of some of the lounges, just to show you, whether it's in Chicago, Washington, D.C., all right, some of the great areas. And did I mention you also have priority separate boarding whenever you upgrade to a private sleeper? So I recommend morning, noon, and night, all the time, anytime, for my own family and friends. When they are traveling overnight on board the train, always consider upgrading to a private sleeper. And again, if you're trying to stay within a certain price point or budget, then consider roomettes. Roomettes is the first level of sleepers, but remember, the most popular and the most affordable. So keep that in mind. And if any of you are wondering how to take care of your luggage, well, these are all independent, what we refer to in the travel industry as FIT, flexible independent travel. So luggage is on your own. However, in many of the train stations and many of the hotels, they have folks there to help and assist you. So with Amtrak vacations, we have at many of the major train stations what we call red cap baggage service or baggage assistance, and they're there to help you. Now, we always recommend to give them a little tip. Usually, rule of thumb is $1, $1 or $1 Canadian per luggage, okay, per person, is just a nice complimentary tip. So if they carry three of your bags, it'd be $3 to tip the red cap service. At the hotels, they have concierge, right? Obviously, if you're taking a taxi or an Uber to your destination, then of course you have that little tip if you choose. So I guess my advice to all of you on any Amtrak vacation package, certainly any last minute train getaways or anywhere in the United States, always consider to have lots of $1 bills, $5 bills, $10 bills. All right. Not only to tip any of the Amtrak Red Cap baggage service, but also to tip your attendant while on board the train if he or she does a really nice job. Same thing with your waiter or waitress while you're dining on board. And again, remember, you can order off the menu. So if anybody has any special dietary requests, just let us know. I got to tell you, the meals are fantastic. They have literally a staff on board of chefs and waiters, waitresses. They're there to help you and make that experience that much more enjoyable. It really is a nice way to travel. I'm going to give you another big highlight. You don't have to deal with traffic if you're driving, and then pay attention to the signs and roads while you're trying to get from one place to the next. You just sit back, relax, enjoy the sights and scenery along the way, and enjoy the cuisine as well. Now, what's great is you get a chance to also disembark at various stations and explore nearby attractions. So the cool thing when you travel with Amtrak vacations, folks, on board the trains, the location of the train stations. I know I mentioned it earlier, but they are literally in the heart of the cities, especially when you're traveling throughout the United States and uh, in the train and on board. It really gives you the most perfect access to go sightseeing and walk in and around. And again, I'm going to put you right there in the heart of the city. This actually happens to be a picture of the train station in Denver, Colorado, one of my favorite more modern train stations. Just absolutely fascinating. It actually has a hotel inside of the train station, not to mention a great restaurant, a coffee shop. Just awesome. Now, when you and your friends and family are booking any of these trips, again, you can give us a call. You can contact your local travel advisor. No rail trip is too complicated for us. We know the rail, the best routes, the best times. And when we talk about last minute train getaways, you can literally call us today, book us today, travel today, okay, and enjoy a last minute getaway. The same thing applies if you call us today, book us today. You could travel in the next 1 to 2 days, 1 to 2 weeks, 1 to 2 months, even up all the way until 1 to 2 years as well. But today it is about last minute vacations still available for this year. So that's what we're going to talk about right here, right now, starting with one of our top 3 most popular destinations in all of the United States, folks, Glacier National Park. Look at this, folks. All right. 4 days, 3 nights. So you spend 3 nights right there in and around Glacier National Park. We have the Big Sky Circle Tour included, 2 Medicine Valley boat cruise, depending on the time of the year you're going. Typically, that's only offered in July and August. We also include a meal as well. Now, to look at the entire train route, all right, if you're curious what the name of the train is that any of you would travel on if Glacier National Park is on your wish list or bucket list, it's called the Empire Builder right there on the top of your screen. And this train, folks, can start in Chicago and end in either Portland or Seattle, or vice versa. It can start in Portland or Seattle and end in Chicago, or anything in between. All right. You could start in Minneapolis, St. Paul, and go to Seattle, or vice versa. Any trip can start or end wherever you would like. Now, if you're located in California, we could start you right from California and bring you right up the coast, where then you connect in through either Spokane, through Portland or Seattle before heading out to Glacier. So again, it can be east to west, west to east. But one thing's for sure, location, location, location. It does not get to be a better location than traveling on board with Amtrak Vacations to Glacier National Park. What you're looking at right here, folks, is the train station at Glacier National Park. And the train that you see is one of the largest in our fleet. Again, it's the Empire Builder. And a little fun trivia for all of you. All the trains in the Western United States, pretty much trains that go from Chicago west to California, all right, or from California east to Chicago, they are known as superliner trains, which basically means they're double-decker trains. That's the trains. These are the sleepers, all right? This is when you definitely want to take advantage of overnighting inside a sleeper. But, you know, I'm going to give you one other great highlight. I told you, folks, I'm filled with lots of great highlights and things to get you, your friends, and family excited. Unlike any of us who fly through any train, any airport, okay? As an example, I just connected through Dallas, if any of you have ever flown through Dallas. And there's, you know, Terminal A, Terminal B, Terminal C, Terminal D, Terminal E. I had to take a shuttle, all right, in between each of the terminals to connect from one flight to the next. What a lot of folks also may not realize, and certainly any of you that have traveled with Amtrak Vacations, thank you. Welcome back. And if this is your first time considering to travel on board, so many of the train station folks are these small, quaint little buildings, such as the train station right here at Glacier National Park. So literally you arrive, it's one little building. That's the train station. And that's most of the train stations, even the larger ones, Union Station in Chicago, Union Station in Washington, D.C. Even the larger ones are still relatively 10 times smaller and easier to get around than some of the major airports. So keep that in mind. Now, if you're going to Glacier National Park, and this is on your wish list or bucket list, folks, and we have space at Glacier Park Lodge, consider staying in this fantastic lodge located right near the train station. I will mention too, during this time of the year. We have a lot of folks that also stay in Whitefish, right outside of Glacier National Park. The hotel is called the Grouse Mountain Lodge. All right. Beautiful property. Both hotels pretty much 4-star, 4 diamond, 5-star being the best. Okay. So 4-star, 4 diamond, either property, you cannot go wrong. Now, as I mentioned, depending on the time of the year, usually July and August, we do feature the Two Medicine Valley boat cruise, which is a nice treat. So if you were to go in September, this would not be offered. But if you certainly travel anytime in the next month, all right, this is a nice boat cruise that you'll have an opportunity to take advantage of. One thing's for sure, regardless when you go, and did I mention Glacier National Park is only available in the months of June, July, August, and September. So it's only open 4 months of the year: June, July, August, and September. One point that will be covered is going to the Sun Road. This is a 53-mile long scenic drive that crosses the Continental Divide via Logan's Pass. And when you do travel on a full day guided tour into Glacier National Park, folks, take a look at the picture on the right hand side. That is what we call the Red Jammer Bus Tour. Only fits about 15 people. They pick you up right at the hotel, folks, whether you're at the Grouse Mountain Lodge in Whitefish or whether you're over at Glacier Park Lodge. You'll have a chance to meet other individuals that also will get picked up along the way. And then it's a full day locally guided tour. Your driver is your tour guide. All right. Your driver is your tour guide. And did I mention Glacier itself, the town of Glacier, which is right there on the left hand side of this picture? Great little quaint town. They got some unique little souvenirs, some great little types of sweets and cuisine and food. I remember I had, it's called huckleberry pie, which is like blueberries. It's similar to blueberry, but it's common in the states of Montana and Idaho. And by the way, don't be surprised if you stop at different restaurants or even dining inside the restaurants at Grouse Mountain Lodge and Whitefish or Glacier Park Lodge, where you may even see choices such as bison bolognese, right? It's like when in the beautiful state of Montana, why not experience some of that local cuisine? And did I mention I traveled here myself years ago? Again, folks, been on board right here. Look at this logo right on my shirt. Amtrak Vacations, going on 11 years, August 13th. And I've loved every minute, every second of it, because you know why? I too have seen destinations and areas right here in my own backyard that I never would have imagined to see. If any of you have ever been to the Canadian Rockies, Glacier National Park rivals the Canadian Rockies. So if that's a destination you've been to, you will certainly not be disappointed with Glacier National Park. Let's move on to the next exciting destination. And this is also a place I hold near and dear to my heart, Grand Canyon. All right. Now, unlike Glacier National Park, where we would just add on the train from wherever you're located or wherever you would like to start, this particular package, as you can see, looking at the map on the left-hand side of your screen, it is round trip from Los Angeles, okay? So you might be wondering, well, how do I get to Los Angeles? Again, we can start you right from your local Amtrak train station if you don't feel like flying or you don't want to drive, and bring you to and from Los Angeles. Or certainly you can book flights, head out to Los Angeles, and then take advantage of this awesome trip. Now, if you look at the map too, one other point I'll mention, you'll see a number 1 in a red triangle going from Los Angeles out to Arizona, and then you'll see another number 1 in a red triangle going from Arizona back to Los Angeles. What that lets you know, folks, is that's an overnight on board the train, and that's when you'd want to consider to upgrading either to a roomette, which again, remember, is our most popular, most affordable, or a bedroom. All right, you get to choose. Well, let's walk through this exciting trip. Now, similar to Glacier National Park, where the main train that you travel on is called the Empire Builder, well, the main train that you travel on going out to the great state of Arizona is known as the Southwest Chief. The entire train ride can start in Chicago, end in Los Angeles, or as I showed you right at the beginning, it can start and end right in Los Angeles. So you could do a portion, a little piece of this train route, or you could do the whole train ride. And again, you can go east to west or west to east. You get to decide. But if you do the entire train route, it's on board the Southwest Chief, another superliner train, double-decker train. Now, what I love, I got to tell you, everyone, when you arrive in Williams, did you know Williams is right along Route 66? Lots of history here, folks. All right. And the hotel that you get a chance to stay at the first evening is called the Grand Canyon Railway Hotel. Just an awesome, kind of that Wild West rustic type of lodge, but it is just such an awesome hotel. It really kind of gets you in that flavor of the Wild West, all right, the Southwest kind of feel with the food, cuisine, the architecture. The town itself of Williams is a great little spot. They got some nice little restaurants, breweries, little gift shops. It's just a lot of fun. And did I mention before you board the Grand Canyon Railway, you're treated for a little Wild West show? Now, this show typically will start around 8:30, quarter to 9 in the morning. They'll do a little Wild West gun shootout, and then it's time to board the Grand Canyon Railway. Now, I'm going to give you a suggestion right here, right now. All right, if Grand Canyon is on your wish list, consider upgrading to the Dome car. All right, on board the train, the Dome car. You'll have the big glass, beautiful domes. You'll have snacks, refreshments included. The train ride, typically you depart around 9:15 in the morning, and you arrive around 11:15, 11:30 into the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And folks, when you arrive, well, or I should say, as you're traveling, you'll travel through the beautiful pine forest along the journey before arriving into the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And when you arrive, folks, one of the first lodges that you see right up above from where you arrive in the south rim of the Grand Canyon is this iconic lodge known as El Tavar. Now, one of the biggest highlights I can't say enough about when you travel with Amtrak Vacations, you, your family, and friends can stay inside of these iconic lodges. Most of these lodges will book 1 to 2 years in advance, years in advance. It's very hard to get space in these lodges, okay? Because there's only so many lodges to choose from. But here's the cool part. Amtrak Vacations, we have access to all the major lodges. El Tavar being the most upscale lodge to choose from, okay, where you can upgrade your room, as you can see right there in the middle of your screen down at the bottom. They have their own private restaurant, as you can see in the bottom right-hand corner. They also have their own little gift shop that also has little, toiletry items and snacks and goodies. And look at the lodge, folks, in the top portion of this collage. It literally is nestled overlooking the south rim of the Grand Canyon. I mean, location, location, location. Now, I will mention, when you do arrive, you're treated for a guided tour with a local tour guide that will bring you in and around the south rim of the Grand Canyon. And it's a really nice way to get familiar with the visitor center, the Hermit Road, the village, Market Plaza. It'll show you all the different areas. And the shuttles run all day long, all the time. So you can hop on and off the shuttle and go visit some of the different areas. And I should mention, we not only use El Tavar, we use Bright Angel, we use Yavapai Lodge, Maswick Lodge. I could go on and on. So we have a huge selection of different lodges that you can choose from. We also have a nice selection of different activities. So if some of you might want a little more adventurous activity, well, guess what? We offer the Pink Jeep Tour, which is kind of a little more adventurous tour, taking you in and around. They have a helicopter ride. Do you know they estimate the Grand Canyon is up to 6,000 feet deep? All right, isn't that amazing? And I will mention, unlike Glacier National Park, which only operates in June, July, August, and September, the Grand Canyon, folks, operates all year long, anytime from January through December. So if any of you are located in certain parts of the US or Canada that might be a little bit cooler or snowier or rainier during certain times of the year, why not scoot out to the Grand Canyon where the weather is a dry heat and it's comfortable and nice all year long. And did I mention, I also travel to the Grand Canyon as well, and you can as well. All right, so lots of great sights to see here. And I will say, it's not only the national parks. How about some of the great cities and destinations right here in the US or even in Canada, folks? Niagara Falls. This is a great summer getaway as well as fall. Now, I'm based here in New England, if you haven't noticed by my accent. All right, I am here in New England, and we pride ourselves on some of the most amazing fall foliage. But you know what also has amazing fall foliage? Eastern Canada as well. So if you're looking for a destination as a last minute train getaway and you want to see some foliage, consider September, October, or again in the summertime, maybe with your children or grandchildren. And what's cool is the train takes you to the doorstep of Niagara Falls, which is awesome. Now, did you know you can stay either on the Canadian side or the American side. What I will say is if you stay on the American side, it's a little bit less expensive. Obviously, you do not need a passport if you're staying on the American side. However, if I was to suggest any of you that are interested in Niagara Falls, I would suggest to stay on the Canadian side, which means you would need a passport. If you get a new passport or you get a passport renewed, it's good for 10 years. But the Canadian side, you have a little more selection of hotels, and you're also in Canada. You're in another country. It adds to the overall experience as well. Now, when you do travel to Canada, all right, in particular Niagara Falls, you can travel on board the trains known as the Maple Leaf, all right, which departs right out of New York City. You could travel on the Empire Builder, also out of New York City, or the Lake Shore Limited, which can take you throughout Niagara Falls and even out to Chicago. So again, depending on where you want to start and end, lots of different options. And any of our rail experts or your travel advisor can help you with that. Now, if you're looking at the beautiful Niagara Falls as an aerial view, starting from the left-hand side, there is the American Falls, the Bridal Veil Falls, both in the U.S., and then, of course, on the right-hand side, the Horseshoe Falls, all right, as you can see. So again, if you have the opportunity and you already have a passport or would like to get a passport, consider staying on the Canadian side. And I have to mention, if you look right here at this collage, folks, zoom in right there in the middle of this collage. Yes, my family and I also traveled to this destination years ago as well. And this was an amazing experience. And by the way, my oldest son, his name is Jimmy. He's right there in the middle. You may notice the falls is going right through his shirt. Well, of all days, he happened to wear a very bright green shirt, which that was the background of the picture. So needless to say, the falls went right through him. But that was just such an awesome family trip. So again, if any of you are looking to travel, not only on a last-minute train getaway, but looking to travel with your children or grandchildren, consider Niagara Falls as well. And I'm going to give you one last suggestion. If this is on your wish list or bucket list, consider upgrading to what they call a Falls View room. So if you hear the term Falls View room, that basically means it's a room overlooking Niagara Falls. So when you wake up in the morning, you have this beautiful scenery of the falls. When you go to bed in the evening, everything's illuminated. You see the falls at night. Absolutely worth it. And I'll give you one other suggestion. If you look at the bottom in the middle, Sheraton Falls View, at the Sheraton Hotel, they have an indoor water park. All right. Again, folks, I got lots of suggestions. Remember, I've been here almost 11 years. That is fantastic. And I remember when I came back, my wife and I came back from our trip with our family, we asked the kids, besides going on the Maid of the Mist, which is the boat ride that brings you up close and personal to the falls, besides enjoying the scenery, the cuisine, the food, you know what they love? That water park. So again, if you're traveling with your children or grandchildren, consider Sheraton Hotel. Let's move on to our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And again, folks, these are just a snippet of some of the trips that you and your friends and family can go on this year as last-minute train getaways. These happen to be some of the most popular ones trending right now, including Washington, D.C. So let me kind of walk you through this. Of course, so much to see and do in D.C. You got the Capitol building, you have the White House, you have a chance to travel on what's called Monuments to Moonlight. This is a tour that typically begins in the evening around like 6, 7 o'clock, and it goes until about 9 or 10 o'clock. But what's great is when you start the tour, these are pictures from my own trip that I just did recently. This was in the evening, so you can see it's still pretty light out, even at 6, 7 o'clock. Here is Union Station. And did I mention diagonally across the street from Union Station is one of our main hotels that you, your friends and family can stay at, called the Phoenix Park Hotel. And do you know what they have right inside of the Phoenix Park Hotel? An Irish pub, which you can't go wrong with a good cocktail, but also great cuisine as well. So we had a chance to travel there recently with some of my fellow colleagues from work and some of our great travel advisors, and just an awesome experience. So consider Washington, D.C. And one of the last trips that I want to highlight is really for any of you joining us that want to experience more of the trains, not just the destinations, but the trains. This is what makes this package different from most of the trips that I highlighted today, as well as most of our trips in the United States. If you look at the map, everyone, and you look at the red triangle from Chicago to Seattle, or if you look at the red triangle from San Francisco back to Chicago, you see a number 2. What that means is you spend 2 nights on board the train consecutively. So this is really for any of you that are really train enthusiasts. For you, your friends, I hear so often from so many folks, oh, my husband loves trains, my grandfather loves trains, my dad, my aunt, my mom. All right. For any of your family and friends who really are train enthusiasts and want to experience more of what life is like on board the trains, consider our Northern Rail experience, which happens to be round trip from Chicago. But remember, any trip can start or end right at your local Amtrak train station. Any trip can be personalized or customized. And did I mention you also have a chance to go sightseeing? So it's not only overnighting on board the trains, but you have a chance to see the great city of Seattle, home of the Space Needle, all right? Home of Jimi Hendrix, home of Starbucks that opened up back in 1971. Not to mention the beautiful Golden Gate Bridge, the great city of San Francisco, all right? And on any trip, anytime, did you know you also get to choose between a 3, 4, or 5-star hotel? Any trip, anytime, any city, anywhere we go, you get to choose. So depending on what hotels you prefer, depending on your price point or budget, Amtrak Vacations is here for you. So before I wrap it up and open it up to any questions, I see we've already had a bunch of questions that have come in, folks. Why Amtrak Vacations? Well, it's very simple, all right? Choice is yours. We're truly a one-stop shop for trains, hotels, sightseeing, transfers, and more. We have packages all put together, as you saw today, and that's just a snippet of all the other exciting trips that you can choose from, all right? Flexible booking window. Again, you could call us today, book today, travel today. Travel in the next 1 to 2 days, 1 to 2 weeks, 1 to 2 months, 1 to 2 years. Also, train travel experts. We like to say we know the best routes, the best times, the best trains. Are you looking for the fastest or the most scenic? You also, again, just get to choose between 3, 4, and 5-star hotels, as you can see in the bottom left-hand corner. We have an extensive vacation collection, not only the national parks, but also some of the great cities in the U.S., as well as right over the border in Canada. And you can start at any Amtrak vacation right near where each and every one of you live. So with that in mind, folks, I just wanted to first off say thank you before I open it up to any questions. I also wanted to share with you our 800 number. So again, if any of these trips or certainly any others are on your wish list, your bucket list, and you want to squeeze in that one last minute train getaway this year, pick up that phone, give us a call, or contact your local travel advisor, and we will help you any way we can. All right. So with that in mind, folks, I see we have some great questions. So I'm going to scroll down to the questions right here. And folks, as I'm answering any of these questions, if any of you have any other questions, please feel free to type those away, and I'll do my very best to answer them while we are here. Okay. So first off, hi, Lawrence. What is travel by train like? Really, Lawrence, what is it not like? You know what it's like, Lawrence? I'll tell you exactly. It's like this. You can sit back, relax. You don't have to pay attention to the signs trying to figure out where you're going and when. You don't have to deal with traffic. You don't have to look at the same clouds anywhere you travel in the world. You have people serving you for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, depending on when you travel. And I hope I was able to help paint that picture throughout today's presentation. It is truly a relaxing and rewarding way to travel. Whether any of you are retired or you're currently working and you want to travel with your friends and family, it is truly an easy and nice and comfortable way to travel. And remember, over 33 million people traveled that same way this past year. All right. So lots of folks in the US and throughout Canada coming down to travel in the US. So thank you, Lawrence. Ted, hi, Ted. Does Amtrak Vacations planning include transportation from city center, train station to hotel? Great question, Ted. If they do, great. If not, why? I could tell you, Ted, for the most part, interestingly enough, for the most part, we don't include transportation from the train station to the hotel. And the reason is all of the hotels that we use are either one, within walking distance, right from the train station. We purposely use hotels city center downtown, or most train stations has taxis and cabs waiting right out front. All right. So it's super easy to get right from the train station to the hotel or from the hotel back to the train station. in those cases where the train station may be farther out or the hotel may be farther out, yes, we do offer transportation that you can add into your trip to include if needed. But again, most of the time, you don't even need it, Ted. It's either a short walk from the train station or a short cab ride that you can be able to pick up right there and then. All right. Helen, hello, Helen. What is the last trip of season for Glacier? Helen, I could tell you it's going to go probably in mid to late September. All right. So mid to late September. So we have availability right here, right now, throughout the month of August into September. And then from there, then it starts in June, July, August, and September of 2025, which again, with Amtrak Vacations, we can help you with those last minute getaway trips, last minute train getaways for this year. But if you want to plan that trip and have something to look forward to next year, you can book up to 2 years in advance with us as well. So just wanted to mention that. Thank you, Helen. All right. Let's see. Michael, what about last minute trips? Michael, any of these trips are last minute trips. So literally any trip that you see today, any other trips that we have throughout the United States, New Orleans, New England, East Coast, Midwest, South, California, they could literally depart within days of today if any of you are looking for last minute getaways. And one of the things that I wanted to share with all of you is we have a flash sale going on right now, folks. And I purposely wanted to mention this at the end of today's presentation. So this is a great point to mention this on. Any of you that book with a small deposit, okay, or a full payment, depending on how soon you're looking to travel. So any of you that book any last minute train getaways, if you book before the end of next week, anytime from today through the end of next week, we're offering anywhere from $150 up to $600 off per couple, all right, which is awesome. So based on the number of nights that you travel on, so if it's 3 to 6 nights, we're going to take $150 off per couple, which is basically $75 off per person. If it's 7 to 9 nights, we're going to take $400 off per couple. All right. If it's 10 to 14 nights, we're going to take $500 off. And again, this is only good for about a week. All right. For any of those last minute getaways. So Michael, thank you for asking that question. I hope that gets you excited about some of these last minute getaways. Let's see. Hello, Ann. Hi, Ann. How often are the sleepers cleaned and sanitized? They are cleaned and sanitized pretty much daily. You know, that's one great thing that came out of 2020, 2021, not only for the trains, but the airlines, the motor coach transportation in the U.S., is it really, it took the level of cleanliness to the next level. And that is something that Amtrak prides themselves on. So it's pretty much on a daily basis as well. So thank you, Ann. Douglas, hey, Douglas, what is included in the price of a trip? Hotels included, example, cross-country with stays in a city. Absolutely, Douglas. So typically on any trip with Amtrak Vacations, it includes train travel in some cases. Some cases, train is not included but can be added on, all right? And typically, train is always based in coach seating with the option to upgrade to a sleeper, again, if you're traveling overnight, but it always includes hotels, typically from a three-star hotel with the option to upgrade to a 4 or 4-star. Typically includes some type of meals, includes sightseeing as well, and some activities, and it really always has a core group of items always included. All right, and then from there you can easily add on and customize and personalize just the way you'd like. All right, thank you, Douglas, appreciate it. Margot, hi, Margot, traveling from Ontario to the Grand Canyon. Absolutely, Margot, we can be able to book that for you or your travel advisor wherever, or I should say, whenever you're looking to travel. All right, and if you want to add stops along the way to stay in any particular cities, we can help you with those stops, hotels, sightseeing in those cities, or if you want just a straight train from one location to another, we can help you with that, plus anything else you'd like to build in. All right, let's see. Okay, just moving. Okay, hi, Ted. It's a longer question. Let's see. At an individual train station, does Amtrak make sure that our checked luggage gets transferred from arrival train to the next train or departure? Yes. Or do we need to get involved with getting it from one train to the next? Nope. So when you check in at the first train station, Ted, they will check it into the final destination. Now, what I will say, and it's a good question Ted's asking, if any of you have any important items, any medication, toiletry items, your pajamas or a change of clothes, we always recommend to bring a carry-on bag in the meantime. So you get the most important items with you. You keep that in your roomette, bedroom, or handicap accessible room, but your luggage would be checked in all the way until the final destination. Let's see. Just still looking at the question from Ted. What does Amtrak Vacations do to help if the luggage does not keep up? Obviously, they'll find a way to keep it up, and if not, they'll get it on the next train to get it to your final destination. But knock on wood, Ted, I've been on board 11 years. I don't think I've even heard more than one or two times luggage not getting to the train station, their final destination when needed. So they're usually very good with that. Again, remember, most train stations, and this is not only for Ted, but everybody, they're small little train stations, very easy. So again, and I understand Ted's question. Another advantage of traveling by train, when you travel on airlines, these airlines and airports, I should say, are massive. They're huge. And you're dealing with 5 terminals, terminal A, B, C, D, E. Very easy for luggage sometimes to get delayed or lost. Okay, so great question, Ted. Very different from traveling by train. Let's see, or do we get involved? What does Amtrak Vacations do to help us get the luggage? I guess what I can rest your mind at, Ted, is it's very easy, and luggage is usually not an issue. I really ever hear that, nor do I really hear if trains are delayed. They can happen periodically if there's a freight train, but I tell you, they've done a fantastic job staying on time most of the time. Obviously, delays can happen just like with airlines, but they do a fantastic job. So thank you, Ted. I hope that helps. Let's see. June, yes. So we have some great last minute bookings. Again, thank you, June. I just mentioned it. Anyone who books any of these trips or any others, anytime from today before next Friday to travel anytime this year, only applies to 2024, you could save anywhere from $150 off per couple to up to $600 off per couple, depending on how long the length of your train is. Okay. Hope that helps. Let's see here. Okay. So just moving through, we got lots of questions. Let's see. Hello, Latrice. How are you? I've never traveled with Amtrak Vacations, but always wanted to. Should I call, and what is the phone number so I can have someone help me? Very simple, Latrice. That number is listed in the bottom left-hand corner. Best and easiest way to book any trip, and certainly you also can book through your local travel advisor as well. Nancy, are alcoholic beverages part of the trip? If not, can we bring it on board? Nancy, I'm glad you asked that, because actually, funny enough, my wife and I, when we traveled just a few years ago with our family down to Florida, did you know, and this is for all of you, when you book a sleeper, a roomette, a bedroom, a handicap accessible room, you can bring your own alcoholic beverages on board the train. Now, you cannot bring a bottle of wine or any type of alcoholic beverage to dinner. Whatever you may consume, it does need to be consumed from the privacy of your own room. But it is something Amtrak Vacations we do allow, and that is to bring your own alcoholic beverages only when you are booked in a sleeper. It doesn't apply to someone in coach seating because you'd be drinking it out in the open. It has to be consumed, whatever you may consume has to be consumed from the privacy of your own room. Now, they do have alcoholic beverages available in the snack car, the bar car. They also have it at the dining car, but it is at an additional charge. So keep that in mind, but it is available. All right. Thank you, Nancy. All right, here we go. Linda. Hello, Linda. Is there a great trip from northeastern area to Florida? My husband and I have taken 2 trips out west before and love them. Linda, we have a ton of great trips from the northeast area. As an example, I mean, if any of you have heard the Auto Train is the one and only train in the U.S. that you can bring your own car, your own truck, your own motorcycle. It goes right from Lorton, Virginia, right outside of Washington, D.C., and travels right down into Orlando, Florida. It actually goes to Sanford, Florida, right outside of Orlando. But then you have your own car, your own truck, your own automobile. But there is multiple trains that also go down that is not related to the Auto Train. So yes, yes, and yes, Linda. All right. And you can make stops along the way too, Linda. Unless you want to just head right down to Florida, you could stop in DC. You could stop in Charleston, South Carolina, Savannah, Georgia. You can make a whole journey out of it. That's the beautiful part of any of our trips. It can be personalized and customized just the way you want. All right. Is there a train from Glacier to Yellowstone? Great question. Glacier to Yellowstone. So There is not a train that goes from Glacier to Yellowstone, but there is a way to do Glacier and Yellowstone together. You almost would be in a little bit of a loop. You'd go on the Empire Builder, then travel on the the Coast Starlight, and then travel on the California Zephyr. And that's how you'd be able to see Glacier and Yellowstone. Thank you, Mary. Julia, I would like to travel from DC to Niagara Falls and stay on the Canadian side. Does Amtrak go all the way into Ontario? We go into Toronto. So yes, the train can go right into Toronto. And then from there, you can be transferred right over to Niagara Falls on the Canadian side. You can also go through Buffalo in the US, and then we have a motor coach shuttle transfer, Julia, that could take you. So any of our rail experts can help you with, what would be the best suggestion, best route. But yes, either way, we got you covered. And again, remember, anyone going into Canada or staying in Canada, you would need a passport. So keep that in mind. And if you get one new or renewed, it's 10 years. Okay. Let's see. Where can I catch a train in Ontario to go to the Grand Canyon? Margot, off the top of my head, I'm not sure exactly. I mean, obviously, you have the train station in Toronto, but if there's one closer to you, our rail experts can let you know, because there is some smaller train stations along the area as well. All right. Thank you, Margot. Ruby, is power available in the sleeper rooms for CPAP? Yes, it is, Ruby. My dad always travels on board the train, and he brings a CPAP machine with him at all times. All right. Ted, hello, Ted. When arrival is late night, say 11 p.m. into Salt Lake City, does Amtrak Vacations offer transport to hotel? Why let this worry burden on the traveling customer? Great question, Ted. So we always have an emergency number, but in a case like that, Ted, just so you know, there also is taxis and shuttles right outside as well. So when they arrive, keep in mind, when you arrive into Salt Lake City, it's a major city as well. So when you travel into Salt Lake City, they pretty much operate around the clock. So there's going to be a taxi and shuttle, so you won't even have to worry about that at all. Okay. So anyway, hope that helps. Thank you, Ted. Nancy, option for single travel. Nancy, I'm glad you asked. Folks, we have about 15 to 20% of our travelers are single solo travelers. So always available, tons of options on every trip, whether you're traveling with a guest or traveling with a family or traveling as a single solo traveler. So thank you, Nancy. Dory, is parking at stations security monitored? In most of the train stations, they are. And again, not all the train stations have overnight parking, but there's parking at all the train station, either day parking or overnight, depending on which train station you're traveling out of. And again, any of our rail experts can let you know which one's particular. Is there a place online to look at menus? Yeah, Nancy, you could visit us online, Amtrak Vacations, all one word, amtrakvacations.com. The best way, the quickest, easiest way, truly, just pick up that phone, give us a call, or you can contact our, one of your local travel advisors. By the way, we are open, just so you know, not only Monday to Friday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but we're also open on Saturdays and Sundays from 9 to 5:30 p.m. as well. So just wanted to mention that. All right. Thank you so much, Nancy. Let's see. How secured are the rooms in trains that are not moving? Great question, Nancy. So you can lock your door from the inside when you're inside the room, and the rooms are very secured. Remember, there's an Amtrak attendant on board every sleeping train car, and every sleeping train car consists of other roomettes and bedrooms, but very secure. I always recommend, in general, not to obviously leave out any jewelry or any cash out and about in your room if you're going to the dining car or you're going to the observation car. You know, anything important in general. And I would say that whether you're traveling on an airplane, whether you're traveling on a bus, whether you're traveling on a cruise, right? Anything important or valuable you want to have with you, right? So I always had my wallet with me. Any jewelry I had was on me, right? So again, just in general, I would say that any type of travel, whether it's Amtrak itself or whether it's any other forms of transportation. Douglas, is internet available? Internet is available and it's free of charge in many of the places, but not all the places, okay? Remember, sometimes you're gonna be traveling through the national parks. There is no wireless available or internet. Sometimes you're gonna be traveling through the rural countryside in the US. There's no wireless and internet available. But I always say, isn't that part of the journey, right? Sometimes there is something to be said about detaching from the digital world, right? And I know, Douglas, I'm sure you're probably smiling right now. it's a great highlight. And I'm someone who's on internet 24/7, and I enjoy just detaching sometimes as well. And I know many of you will also. Thank you, Douglas. Iris, want to go from New York to Utah. How do I change trains, or is it direct? How long? It's however you want to travel. So to go from New York to Utah, there would be a connection through Chicago. All right. So you'd go from New York out to Chicago on the Capital Limited, typically is the train. And then you would go on the train known as the California Zephyr, Iris. And again, our rail experts can help you with that. And you're probably looking at 2 to 3 nights, depending on how many nights you may want to stop in any particular city or destination along the way. All right. Thank you, Iris. Let's see. Great questions, everybody. Great questions. Margot, wheelchair friendly. Margot, I'm glad you asked. Yes, absolutely. We have handicap accessibles. You can bring your wheelchair. We are ADA approved. All right. So we are here to help each and every one of you and your friends and family that may need that extra support. Hello, Ann. Just making sure, does the vacation package prices include both the hotel stay and the train cost? So all the packages include the hotel, sightseeing. Some of the packages have the train already built into it. Some do not, on purpose, because you may decide to start right from your local Amtrak train station. So depending on really what destination you want to go to, then you can see or ask one of our rail experts if it already has train included from a particular city. Okay, so just wanted to mention that. So hope that helps, Ann. All right, thank you. Iris, let's see. There is a travel agent portal. So for any of our travel advisors joining us, there is a travel advisor portal only for travel advisors who are there and joining us here today to help assist any of your customers or clients. So thank you, Iris. Linda, is Amtrak Vacations planning to come to Nashville? Linda, here's the good news. We already go to Nashville. Now, not by train, but we do include transportation in either a shuttle bus, okay, from Memphis, or we can even book car rentals for you. Because Linda's question is, do we have a train that goes to Nashville? Well, as of yet, there are some great cities in the U.S. where, unfortunately, as of today, the trains do not physically go there. Nashville's one of them. Las Vegas is another, but we still include transportation. So whether it's a motor coach, bus bringing you from Memphis to Nashville, or whether it's your own private car rental, Amtrak Vacations and/or your travel advisor can help you with those accommodations. All right. Let's see. Are you able to select a roommate? Great question, Margaret. So we don't handle any rooming with folks, but I always suggest, Margaret, before you leave, I don't know if you're on social media or you have some friends and family, let them share the idea that maybe you're looking to go on a trip and see if there's anyone that might like to join you. I can't tell you how many times we have folks that connect up before they even travel with us, just to be able to have a friend or someone to room with, which of course will make the price a little less expensive than if you were traveling as a single or solo traveler. So we don't do that, Margaret, but we encourage you to certainly do that, spread the word, and have some of your friends join you as well. All right. Diane, how much sightseeing do you see in the Grand Canyon? A lot of sightseeing, Diane. Not only do you have a half a day tour when you get there, but remember, once you're in the Grand Canyon, that shuttle is running all throughout the day. So you can hop on and off the shuttle throughout all the days you're there. You can go on a hiking tour. There's a helicopter tour, right? Again, lots of different options. Also, we can help prearrange additional options like the Pink Jeep tour before you even travel there. So plenty to see and do. So just wanted to mention that as well. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Oh, thank you, Margaret. Roomette. Okay. So roomette, recommend upper or lower roomette. So it really depends. I've stayed in both, Margaret. I've been in the top bunk bed, which, by the way, the top bunk bed does have a gate that closes. So it kind of locks you in. So you don't have to worry if you're nervous being in the top bunk bed. It definitely secures you up top. I've stayed most of the time when I travel, honestly, I'll stay up at the top, but I have been in the lower bunk bed as well in a roomette. So thank you, Margaret. Yep. So roomette is certainly a great way to travel. And whether you're on the top or the bottom. And when you do book any trip, you can work with our rail expert or your travel advisor to pick and choose where you may like to stay, and they would recommend certain areas as well. All right. So thank you so much, Margaret. Thanks for clarifying that as well. Let's see, Ann. Do the employees get to travel to many of the locations? Would love would love to travel more with Amtrak. So, and we do. You know, we get a chance to travel at least once or twice a year, so we can better help assist each and every one of you and your friends and family. I guess you could say being able to see and experience what we offer makes a world of difference. So, folks, it looks like we got to all the questions today. I want to thank you all so much for joining me here this morning. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and I hope you are that much more excited to pick up that phone, give us a call, and plan that next exciting rail vacation of a lifetime for you, your friends, and family. Again, we and/or your local travel advisor are here to help each and every one of you. So on behalf of Amtrak Vacations, thank you so much, and we look forward to having you, your friends, and family on board soon. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.